Where have you been?
Get in here. Yeah.
It's called the Champion's Choice because the pros love coming here to one of America's greatest fisheries and catching something different.
There we go.
Lots of huge smallmouth.
Nice slab of smallmouth bass here.
Sometimes enough to win.
That's what's supposed to be happening.
But that's not the way it's worked out this week.
Oh, no! Oh, my God! No!
It's turned into a largemouth slugfest.
That is a chunk of largemouth bass, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And that's opened the door for both a Florida rookie
Let's go do this.
and one of the legends of the sport.
Who says fishing's relaxing? Woo! I'm gonna need to settle down.
The Citgo Bassmaster Elite Series. Champion's Choice.
Citgo Bassmaster Elite Series. We haven't made it out of New York State yet. Man, our series continues on with our 9th event. We move from Lake Oneida to legendary Lake Champlain, and this tournament is called the Champion's Choice. Here we are on the border between New York and Vermont. This lake over 100 miles long, 14 miles wide in most places, 400 feet deep in some places. And yet these guys are fishing for something other than the expected smallmouth. Chris Lane from Florida. Mark Zona, you come up here. What do you fish for?
Can you believe it? This tournament is being dominated by a largemouth, and not only that, dominated by a rookie of all things, Sanders.
Chris Lane from Florida has not had a finish in the top 12 so far this year. He struggled at times, but boy, he has dialed in the proper combination for the Champlain largemouth. People always know they're there. They may be more catchable this week than they have been in a long time.
19 pounds, 8 ounces. Chris Lane is on top all by his lonesome. 40 pounds, 10 ounces. The rookie is trying to school the pros out here. How do you like that, ladies and gentlemen? Consistent weight day after day for Chris Lane. 58.3 has him on top of the leaderboard.
So how about the rookie Chris Lane making a bigger play than any rookie has so far this year in the Elite Series? He leads the Champion's Choice events after 3 days of fishing. Denny Brauer breathing down his neck.
Yes.
Mark Zona, Tommy
Yes.
Sanders here with you. We come to Champlain and we got a big largemouth fest.
You
going
know,
on.
I'm not going to lie. I was hoping the smallmouth would show up. Tommy Biffle, Oneida Lake, catching all largemouth. I was kind of bummed out, but hopefully somebody will make a smallmouth surge today.
Now, Chris Lane has found apparently someplace that looks like Okeechobee back home, right?
Oh, yeah, it looks like anywhere down south. It definitely does not look like a northern lake right now.
Speaking of his place, he's
Oh, yeah.
not going to be able to get back in there today. First 3 days were
Major
fine.
controversy.
Major controversy. The Bass Authority said it was fine to fish in there. Now the Vermont Wildlife and Fish Authority say maybe you're not in the right here. Maybe you can't go back there, and he can.
Well, Chris did the right thing, though. He contacted tournament officials. They said, Chris, it's fine to fish in there. It does not say no fishing. It says wildlife refuge. I could see where a guy would definitely get confused.
All right, Jerry McInnes is there with Chris Lane as we get ready for the takeoff and ready to start Championship Day.
Beautiful, beautiful morning up here in upstate New York, and we haven't even cranked up motors, and we got a little bit of a situation right off the bat. Chris Lane is on the top of the leaderboard, and he's been fishing a little area legally in the above here a few miles, and it just came down from the powers that be from the state last night actually, that Chris couldn't go back to that spot. Boy, that's got to hurt.
Well, it does and it doesn't. I look at it this way. I'm glad I got to fish it for 3 days and didn't get thrown out of there the first day, I guess. You know, I don't know why there was a problem. There's a river that feeds both sides of this bay. There's no signs in front of the bay. There's signs out in front of the river. But according to them, you can access, you know, through the river. And the only way to get to my bay is to go through a river and go under a tree and through a cut. So, you know, whatever happens, happens. I'm going to go, I practiced down south the first day, so I'm going to head down there and see what I can do down there.
You know, the obvious question is Plan B as good as that was?
Well, I think Plan B can be better because the pressure's off. There's a lot of it, and I would say...
What do you mean the pressure's off? Denny Brauer is breathing down your shirt.
Man, he has been all 3 days, and I tell you, it's phenomenal to be fishing against these guys, you know, watching them on TV when I was a kid. But, you know, I'm going to run down south and catch as many as I can. I think the pressure will be a little bit lighter down there since the rest of the tournament boats aren't going down there. Everybody else head north except for Mark Tyler, I think.
I tell you what, guys, he looks pretty calm and collected to me. We'll find out whether that's real or not, though, won't we?
We absolutely will find out. This is the big day of the tournament. Right now, final day, championship day. We got 12 anglers left in this thing. They will fish for just over 8 hours today. 5 fish limit on this final day. Your best weight over the 4 days. That total is going to win the top prize, the $100,000 here on Lake Champlain. And Mark Zona, what about it? Chris Lane, what do you do when your whole plan is thrown out the window?
He's scary good, man. Kind of like a man-child, because I'm going to tell you something, Tommy. A lot of guys would kind of come apart at the seams. He's kept his composure. He was fishing up north. Now he's going to make a long run south, a place called Bulwaga Bay. And I'm going to tell you something. There's some bulls swimming in that bay.
They'd have some good blow-ups in here in practice. Over down there a little bit. We'll get back in here and see what we can muster up. Come on, baby, eat it. That'll start out number 1, yeah. Oh. Whew. Tell you what, you can take that gambler cane toad anywhere and catch a bass. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
That's what he's been doing to him all week long with that frog, that cane toad, Chris Lane in the vegetation. But a lake this size, there's got to be a million. How do you find the best place to catch largemouth?
There are 2 major largemouth areas on this lake. One of them is Ticonderoga. 2 of our guys are going 50 to 70 miles south. Mark Tyler, Chris Lane. Now, there is a party going on up in Missisquoi Bay. This is the other largemouth bay, not known for smallmouth. We've got Mike Wurm in there. We've got Terry Butch in there. One person not in there, Kevin VanDam. He's smallie fishing.
He's smallmouth fishing. Tommy Biffle, who won last week's tournament at Lake Oneida, also fishing this area, along with Brent Chapman. Maybe a little too close to each other, those 2 guys. Paul Elias, he always does good in New York, and he's here as well, along with Todd Faircloth, his first top 12 of the year. And now Denny Brauer, the man who's really breathing down the neck of Chris Lane. He's in the same place. Oh, we're definitely not letting this guy get out of our sights today, whatever it takes to keep your eye on Denny Brauer from Camden, Missouri, the owner of 15 wins with the Citgo Bassmasters, including the 1998 Citgo Bassmaster Classic from North Carolina. This is a man for the job today.
Definitely. He's basically the Roger Clemens of flippin' heavy cover. He does it generally with one bait. He does it with his own signature jig. And when these fish are shallow, they're in heavy cover, he is the man.
Denny Brauer has caught his limits very early in the day, each day of this tournament. We'll see if he can get things going very quickly out here right now.
Come on. Big old fish. Gotcha. Good start. That's the kind we need right there. Hung up in them reeds, and we got him out of there. That's the advantage of having that great big old hook. It'll hold them fish. That's a good 4-pounder. What a way to start the day. Put him in the jacuzzi. That is some nasty stuff. The only chance you have of getting a bass out of that heavy cover is basically with braided line. As you can see, I've got 60-pound test to where you can just lay on them and actually tear the reeds apart to get the fish out. That's a neat deal when they come out. Man, what a great start.
Denny Brauer is pumped. He is ready to go. Can Chris Lane hold off the man from Missouri? We haven't even seen Brent Chapman yet, or Tommy Biffle, our winner from last week. We're really just getting started here on Lake Champlain.
Oh, yeah! Look at that. 2 of them.
The Citgo Bassmaster Elite Series Champion's Choice is brought to you by Citgo, Bush, Mercury, and Purelator.
The Sit Go Bassmaster Tournament Trail. It's the Elite Series, 9th event of the season. Hard to believe it, but here we are on Lake Champlain for the Champion's Choice. Coming out of Plattsburgh, New York, this is the final day. 12 anglers left in the race right now. And now the man on top is Denny Brauer. He's overtaken the rookie Chris Lane of Florida, who has held the lead through the first 3 days of competition. But we really are just getting started here. Haven't had a look at this man. Man from Kansas and Lake Quivira, Brent Chapman. He's getting things started early as well.
Get in the boat.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's how you start the day if you want to win a tournament right there.
Wow. Now here's something you don't see real often. Days 1, 2, and 3, Brent Chapman starts in a certain area of Missisquoi Bay. Day 4, he says, you know what? I'm scrapping it. I'm junking it. I'm going to start in a brand new area of the same exact bay. We're going to find out right now if his decision pays off.
There's one. Come on. Another good one. Oh, yeah. Look at that. 2 of them. Man, this place is incredible. Ugh. That's how you catch them. 25-pound gamma fluorocarbon with the 5/8 ounce jig. Look at that one there.
And it has paid off. Every morning he's caught a small limit. Right off the bat, he's got 2 giants.
This was such a good decision because what I've been doing is I've been starting over there with Paul, and I'm going over there and I might catch 1 3-pound fish and I get my limit. And that's exciting and everything, but you know, if you're doing the right thing, those limit fish are going to go away. I mean, you need to replace them with fish like I just put in the boat.
Things happening very quickly for Brent Chapman. So Brent Chapman now with a 1.5 pound lead over Denny Brauer and Chris Lane. Things are tightening up here on Lake Champlain. The man from last week, Lake Oneida, Tommy Biffle, who dumped the smallmouth, went into the clear water and caught plenty of largemouth to notch the victory there. How well will he do here? How hard is it, Z, to keep that momentum going from one tournament to the next?
Well, I'm going to say one thing amazing about Tommy Biffle. He has been very, very vocal about going back to back. You rarely hear a guy say, you know what? I won Oneida and I think I could win this one. Usually it's a little passive. This guy is not sandbagging.
Not looking good. Sometime today, if the sun stays out, maybe some more move in. I think there's still some around. It's not like it has been. There can only be so many in one spot, and there's been way more than I ever dreamed of in this one.
So Tommy Biffle's got a little something going here. He expected to be a lot farther on down the road, obviously, by this point in his day. But as again, we say it is a long day and plenty of fishing left to come. Tommy Biffle, again, the $100,000 winner last week at Lake Oneida. Brent Chapman, our leader right now, as we go over to another man from Oklahoma. This leaderboard is populated with guys from down south. The only 2 northerners, Kevin VanDam and Paul Hirosky, well, they're a ways back from our leaders right now. But Terry Butcher, and as we watch Butcher, Zona, I want to ask you, what makes this such a fantastic fishing lake?
Well, you know, a lot of our viewers right now are not seeing it, but it's probably in the top 5 best smallmouth lakes in the country. That being said, I'm going to state the obvious, Tommy. The lake is froze half of the year almost. Not only that, it has tons of shallow water. When you have shallow water, spawning habitat.
That's the way to start the morning. Yes, sir. Thank you. Good fish. I seen her roll up there and eat that jig. Yeah. Good start.
Good bass there for Terry Butcher. That's going to move him up the leaderboard from 6th all the way to 4th place. Terry Butcher, who had a great tournament last year at Clark's Hill Reservoir. Now over to Denny Brauer. And Mark Zona, they have had 2 months solid of rain up here, 3 to 4 feet extra water in the lake. Does that have anything to do with the largemouth situation?
That is a shallow water fisherman's dream. It literally makes like a whole new lake. But I'm going to tell you what is awesome about Denny Brauer. Yeah, he's a great shallow water guy. He's great at flipping. But that guy has a sweet Burt Reynolds mustache. I cannot get away with that, Sanders.
Could that be where Chris Lane and Brent Chapman are missing the boat this week?
Well, Tafanda, this is a case of David and Goliath right now.
Denny Brauer, you should also know if he should win this tournament, even if he comes in 2nd place, he will cross the $2 million mark. career earnings with the Bassmasters. Put him back on top. If he wins this thing, we'll put him ahead of Kevin VanDam in all-time money.
Gotcha. Another nice one. We're not getting the bites early like we have been, but the quality is the kind that this guy needs today. Man, love the way those fish are getting hooked. That's another close to 4-pound fish. We've got two that weigh 8 pounds. We've been here about 15 minutes. What a wonderful start. Love it. The later in the day, the more the sun comes up, the more important it's going to be for me to get back in and really start keying on that matted vegetation.
Denny Brauer has definitely got a plan today, and just like that, he's the man back in the lead in a big way with 65 pounds. But Brent Chapman, 2.5 pounds back. He's a bulldog. He's going to hang in there. And what about Chris Lane? Way down the lake, Terry Butcher. He's right up there as well. So much competition left to come today. Stick around. We'll continue from Lake Champlain.
Yeah!
Whew. The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail. This is our Elite Series. This is our 9th event of the year. We're on Lake Champlain, and there's the man who's in the lead on this final day of competition. One of the legends of bass fishing, Denny Brauer, with the 2.5-pound lead as it stands right now over Brent Chapman. A lot of fishing left to come. But Denny Brauer, the man who's been locked into the lead, or at least just below it, 1 point behind the lead as it came into this tournament in the Toyota Horizon Award for the most improved angler one season to the next. He was trailing Steve Daniel. If Denny should win this tournament, he'll certainly take over the lead for Toyota Horizon Award. And could it be Tommy Biffle, the man who's about to make a move, certainly make a big move last week at Lake Oneida?
Tommy Biffle is in heaven right now. There's kind of a fluke deal going on this lake. Having the real high water, the largemouth are making a surge shallow. The one thing you need to know about flipping, when that bite is on, you never lose.
I've caught several really good fish. You know, 5-pounders, 4-pounders and stuff out of this spot. So, you know, I just feel lucky if I could get 1 or 2 out of it today. Yesterday I had 15.9 the first thing, so I wouldn't have thought it could be that, but they're around.
Come here, baby.
That's kind of neat right there. Now I'm caught up.
All right, Tommy Biffle thinks he's caught up right at this moment. Let me tell you exactly where Biffle is. He's in 4th place. He just moved up 1 spot. Over to Mark Tyler, our West Coast guy in the action here today, the man who still holds the record for the biggest bass ever caught in Bassmasters competition.
Let me dial you in a little bit. We talk a lot about guys fishing their comfort level. Water they feel comfortable in because it suits their style fishing. Mark Tyler fished for smallmouth the first day of practice. Scrapped it, junked it, in the garbage it went. He said, I went all the way down to Ticonderoga. As soon as I launched my boat, Zona, I felt like I was at home.
That fish right there is going to move Mark Tyler up the leaderboard with 56 pounds total over the week. He's now in 6th place.
Nice chunky northern bass. Nice.
Mark Tyler with reason for optimism right there as we take a look at Missisquoi Bay, where the vast majority of our anglers are fishing. And Zona, tell us the real reason they're all there.
Just draw a line through the center of your screen. Half the bay is up in Canada. It just doesn't get a lot of fishing pressure. The other reason, it has a river feeding into it. Lots of color, lots of vegetation.
All right, that's the reason why they're there. Brent Chapman's going to tell us exactly what he does when he gets into that stuff.
A lot of times people ask, how do you fish a place like this? It's just so vast and there's so many targets. You almost have to just dissect it like a shoreline of a bank. You know, even an area that's got so many targets like this, it's still got its key places. And, you know, you've got like points, you know, the very outside edge here, you know, is a great place to hold fish. And then you might have the back of a pocket, you know, which would be back there. And then you'll have the really thick areas, you know, inside this. And it's just really subtle stuff that, you know, if a person can learn how to read that, it can, you know, they can be very successful in this real thick vegetation.
Brent Chapman right now is reading the water perfectly. 1 big bite will put him in the lead.
There's fish. What in the world was that hook set? Yeah, there we go. A little bit better quality. switched up hands there for a second to kind of get my shoulder a rest and got bit.
Brent Chapman, good bass right there. Brent Chapman, the man with the lead by 1.5 pounds now, ahead of Denny Brauer. So we're swapping around and swapping around. A great battle going on here in Champlain. Back to Denny Brauer as the day goes on. The sun gets higher. What's he going to do with this deep vegetation?
Denny Brauer has dialed in perfectly to Missisquoi Bay. He said, Zona, days 1 through 3, I'm going to 18 pounds. When I get to 18 pounds, I'm going to back off. Day 4, he said, I'm going in and I'm going to absolutely unload. Guaranteed, if they do not slow Denny Brauer down, they will get schooled by this man.
That fish right there is going to give the lead back to Denny Brauer.
Caught him dead sticking it, just putting it in there and letting it sit and not moving it. I figured it out the other afternoon. That's what you had to do to get some of them bigger ones to bite. This isn't a big one, but we'll certainly take him anyway. Dead sticking it. Number 5. Now we can focus on getting 3 more big fish to get rid of those 3 small ones. Just trying to get 3 more big bites. Great start.
On the last day, on championship day, you want good things to happen, big things to happen, and you want them to happen early. That's the way it's been going for Denny Brauer, but you heard him say it. He's still got 3 smaller fish, and he'd like to upgrade each and every one of those. Plenty more fishing yet to come, and when we come back, fishing close together, maybe too close together. What's the protocol here? And who's got the upper hand? We'll figure it all out when we get back to Lake Champlain, and the Champion's Choice continues. Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail, our all-new Elite Series for this year. 11 events. Man, can you believe we're already 9 deep into this season? And this is an important one. On Lake Champlain for the Champion's Choice, and one of the legends of the sport sits atop the leaderboard. Ahead of Brent Chapman is Denny Brauer by 3.5 pounds. We still got plenty of time left for fishing. Our Toyota Rookie of the Year race, well, that one's been kind of a runaway for Steve Kennedy of Alabama. He's had the lead over Bill Lowen for most of the year, but now Jared Lintner, the rookie, has moved up into 2nd place as we watch those 2 anglers, Tommy Biffle and Brent Chapman. We saw Brent Chapman earlier starting in a new place today. That new place happens to be kind of the same place as Tommy Biffle.
Sandpiper, I got some news for you. This is what can happen on Lake Champlain. Big schools of largemouth get in real confined areas, and, well, you can see what's happening already.
Yeah, I mean, he knows I started here every morning. First 2 mornings, he'd run by and he'd see me, you know. Guys shouldn't, they know where you're fishing, they don't mean come over here and fish. Is it messing me up? Just got me mad. Used to that you wouldn't get anybody to get within a mile of you. It's kind of like that last lap at NASCAR. If you can't outrun them, they're gonna bump you.
All right, Zona, I'll ask you point blank, who are you backing in this one right here?
Well, dude, that is so uncool. I'll tell you one thing. It's just something that goes on in tournaments. You have to expect, especially when you're fishing northern lakes. These fish get in real confined areas. Like I said, they get in confined areas and the same guys find them.
All right, in this day and age, is it reasonable to expect that you're going to have a spot all to yourself?
Well, here's what I will tell you. Tommy Biffle scares the fire out of me, okay? He's just a dude. If I'm hanging out, I am not jacking with that guy.
All right, well, what does Brent Chapman think about that? Is Brent Chapman a little intimidated?
It's one of those things you just have to accept that that's part of the game. You can't let it bother you. You have to just worry about what you can do and, you know, decide whether or not you want to stay here and duke it out with another fisherman or just go find another spot that maybe hasn't been fished yet.
You know, in all honesty, though, this is what makes it pretty interesting. But I'm going to tell you something. Every tournament fisherman right now across the country is going, that happened to me last week.
Now I got a decent one.
Said that kind of loud, so maybe someone else might hear it. We're going to leave this controversy right here for right now. We'll revisit that in just a moment. Now another angler from Oklahoma. We saw him get started today. Started pretty well. Terry Butcher. Now Terry Butcher not exactly out in those big grass beds that these other guys are in. He's got a little bit of a different situation going on here.
Come here. Not a lot of big one, but he'll make number 5. What I'm fishing here is a creek. I'm right on a channel bend. There's a little bit of current going through here, and them fish seem to be right here in this creek. And they move. There's a little flat that comes out off the bank there, comes off, drops into about 15 foot, and they're sitting there right on the edge of that break. Wherever these laydowns come out and fall off, that's where they're at. There just seems to be a ton of fish here. I just keep coming back every day wondering if there's going to be more, and there's more every day. It's been a lot of fun. He's not what I thought he might be. He's probably bigger than that other one, isn't he?
Yeah, Terry Butcher out there having some fun.
He's
His
having a
plan is
time.
coming
He's
together.
having a time.
Exactly, got the little creek. But most of these guys who are catching them are off in that deep, heavy grass. And what are they catching?
Very heavy grass. It actually kind of looks like, you know, fishing down at Okeechobee in Florida, but it is up in Vermont. Check this out. Just catching them on the jig. We've talked about this jig almost every tournament this year as guys in the top 10 catch them. The biggest thing about this jig, it catches grande puercos.
Oh, the big porkers, the big pigs.
Exactly right. Tommy, we're going to jump over to the Citgo Bass Eye View and look at exactly how Denny's doing this. It's more like hunting instead of fishing. Denny's going in this real heavy cover. He'll see the cane reeds kind of vibrate from the fish swimming through them. It literally tells them where they're at. Then he'll flip the jig in there, and you'll notice Denny keeps saying he's dead sticking the jig. He'll flip that jig in and just let it lay there until one finally thunk.
And he's got something pretty heavy to get it to punch through all those reeds and everything, and he's got the heavy, heavy line. Yeah. That's the whole package.
He's not
now.
using light line.
That's what's working for Denny. Let's get to him back on the lake.
I don't know, I saw the reed shake and I thought one had it, but I never did feel him bite it, but usually when you see it shake, they've got it sucked in. He was so far back in there, folks. And I flipped it in there the first time and he didn't get it, but he got it that time. Whew. What a fish. I'd figured out a little deal, like I said, late the other day, where I'd pitch it in there when the fishing would get real tough and just let that jig lay, not move it at all. And all of a sudden you would just feel it get heavy. That time when I pitched it in there, I saw the reed shake, which I knew something turned on it. Well, it was that big boy, but he didn't have it, and I pitched it immediately right back in there and let it sit, and he got it. What a fish. You know, there's pivotal fish in the tournament, and I don't have what I need yet, folks. I've still got 2 little ones, but when you catch a 5-pounder on the last day of a tournament, you talk about something that's going to help improve a stringer in a hurry. That did it. I probably gained 3 pounds right there on just calling one fish. Now, if I get another fish like that and get rid of that other 2-pounder, I probably have the best stringer of the week that I've had. So that's my goal, to try to have my best day on the last day.
Denny Brauer is the man who knows how to do this kind of deal. And look at Denny Brauer has extended his lead by a pound now over Brent Chapman. He's still got plenty of time left to fish. The sun is now high in the sky. And believe you me, we have a capable cast of characters. We're not ready to award the 100 grand just yet. Come back, more fish are going to be caught.
Redemption.
There we go. Yeah, that will help. Look at that.
Welcome back to northern New York State. Beautiful spot right there, the Ausable Chasm, all that water in the Ausable River rushing down toward Lake Champlain. And that's our big event we got going right now, the Champion's Choice on Champlain. And one of the champions of all time for the Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail, Denny Brauer, is our man in the lead. This is the final day competition. We've got 12 anglers out there slugging it out. At this point, they're trying to catch Denny Brauer, who's having great success catching largemouth up in Missisquoi Bay. Mike Wurm, one of those anglers who've been working well all week. A great season for Mike Wurm. Stumbled last week at Lake Oneida just a little bit, but all in all, this has been a very productive, very money-making season for the angler from Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Oh, no. Well, let's not do that stuff right there. Todd Faircloth coming to the party this week. You know what? Slow and steady is Todd Faircloth. Another guy, if the bass goes shallow, Todd Faircloth goes to the top.
And the man who spends so much time on top is Kevin VanDam, although we haven't seen so much of him today. Kevin VanDam certainly heating up the Angler of the Year race, but his decision to fish for smallmouth this week has left him a little bit behind the leaders.
That's a nice one.
We got one West Coast angler in this competition. That is Mark Tyler. Yes, this is his second top 12 of the year. Mark Tyler, who made the top 12 at Sam Rayburn in our Lone Star Shootout, excelling here on Champlain.
I'm going to tell you something. The theme of the day is guys feeling comfortable about the water they're fishing. Mark Tyler said he was terribly nervous about this tournament. As soon as he found the same kind of water that reminded him of home, bang.
Redemption. It's about the size of the one I just lost. I got his brother. You're a pretty specimen.
All right, Mark Tyler keeping his nose to the grindstone, keeping on catching bass. Moves up one slot on that leaderboard. There's Mike Wurm as we get back to Missisquoi Bay. There's our guy with the proximity.
Today.
The proximity situation going on with Brent Chapman. He's just all over the place, it seems, but he's doing well. And really, the only guy with a reasonable expectation at this point of being able to catch up with Denny Brauer.
I give Brent credit, though. He fished a tournament up here a couple weeks ago, did not do good. He was fishing for smallmouth. He said, you know what? I'm done with it. I'm going there with one thing in mind, largemouth bass.
There we go. Yeah, that one will help. Look at that. That's what we're looking more like what we're looking for. 18.5 pounds. Right. Thank you, Mr. Bass.
Brent Chapman now 2.5 pounds behind Denny Brauer. So he's making the best of his time in the top 12. And look at that, out in the middle of the wheat field, the summer wheat field. Is that where he is? What's going on here?
Looks like a Laotian rice field, but I'm going to tell you something. There is literally 3 to 4 feet of water in there. And when you're in the north, like we seen in Oneida last week, as long as there's enough water to get over these fish's backs, they'll get up in there. But the biggest thing is, Denny knew as soon as that sun got high, the fish would push up into the real heavy grass.
Denny Brauer has said that these places that have worked out for him the best, grassy places like this, have been the ones with the deepest water under them.
Tommy, we talked about it at the party today at the Citgo Bass IVU. You remember that, don't you?
Yeah.
This is exactly what we talked about.
That's the one, boys. Woo. Who says fishing's relaxing? This is hard work. Wow, what a fish. Wow. That's 4.5, maybe 5. We got 4 good ones now. My heart is just racing. What a rodeo that was. To get that bass out of that heavy cover. All right, now we got one little one left to get rid of, and we're gonna get real close to weighing. But we gotta get rid of that little one.
Denny Brauer is deep in the grass, and man, oh man, is he gonna stay there. Can anyone catch him? We're hesitant to say it's all over. From past experience, anything can happen, but one more shot at glory left for these guys when we come back to Lake Champlain. Don't go away. Woo! There has been a ton of water dumped on the northern United States, the Northeast in particular, over the past 2 months, and they are reaping the benefits of it here at Lake Champlain, coming down from the Ausable River here. Our Elite 12 are in action on this final day of our Champions Choice event on Lake Champlain, and the man with the big lead right now, 5.5 pounds, is Denny Brauer. But what a competition we've had. Mike Wurm, the Pure Later Big Bass of the tournament, 6 pounds and 6 ounces for the man from Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Another guy that decided to come to the party this week, the big boy, Paul Elias. Paul kind of said, you know, Tommy, he was like, Zona, I am so excited to come north and go smallie fishing for 1 month. This man has not weighed in one smallie the entire event.
Paul Elias, he always does good in the New York State. He's the 82 Classic champion. He knows how to catch him up here. What about Zell Rowland, the man who won last year on Lake Guntersville down in Alabama? Zell Rowland, who has made 7 of 9 cuts incredibly this year. A great record. This is his first day incredibly, though, in the top 12.
Let's throw a little more love to a rookie. Paul Hirosky has had a great week, but I'm going to be honest with you, he's kind of had a miserable final day.
Oh no! Oh my gosh! No!
That's a momentary disappointment for Paul Hirosky right there. An all-day disappointment so far today for Chris Lane. Chris Lane, who led the first 3 days of this tournament, fishing an area in Missisquoi Bay that was on the final day declared after a ruling to be off limits. He could not fish it on the final day.
Like I said, though, I give Chris Lane huge credit. You know what? He said, I'm going to pick up the pieces. I'm still going to go to work and try to get this job done.
Lane made a long run today in hopes that a place he hit in practice would pan out. So far, it has not been very productive.
That sure does beat the heck out of one of them guys I got in there, don't it?
You know, Tommy, I got to tell you something, though, about this Lane kid. There's a bunch of professional fishermen. Bobby Lane, Arnie Lane, they're all brothers. I think it's the same person.
Oh, really? Well, that's a shocker right there. We'll have to explore that a little bit more, but right now, time to get over to Oklahoma's Terry Butcher. Terry Butcher having his best tournament of the year so far. Terry from Talala, Oklahoma, found a little bit different sort of situation, also in Missisquoi Bay, but not fishing that grass like some of the other guys are.
Ooh, there's a good one. That's one of them babies we need. Right there.
Right now, at this point of the tournament, this is kind of the race to be watching. This is the race for second place right now, and Brent Chapman trying to hang on to it. But with that bass, the Terry Butcher essentially just one largemouth behind Brent Chapman.
And Brent Chapman, you talk about him, he's kind of like, well, he's like Gollum in Lord of the Rings, just sitting in his moist little cave, waiting to gobble up his precious little second place. Precious.
There we go. Yeah. That's one awesome little spot right there. All right, let's go. Wasn't quite as big as I would have liked, but it was a couple ounces bigger. Can win this tournament by an ounce or two. It was because of that fish.
Well, actually, that call right there moved Brent Chapman up about a half a pound. What he doesn't know, though, is that Denny Brauer is 5 pounds ahead of him. A great position to be in at this point in the proceedings as we watch Denny Brauer right now. Remember, he's got one small fish left in that live well. What does he do now?
You hear about perfect days of bass fishing. A lot of guys say, man, I fished perfectly. This man is one solid bite away from perfection.
You almost gotta envision that there's a bass looking at your bait when you put it in there. That's the only thing that'll give you the patience to let it sit long enough to get the bite. The bites are just unbelievably hard to get right now. They've got tougher every day. They've been feeding good early in the morning, and then the bite's been totally shutting down to later in the day. And so during that dead period, in order to catch fish, I've had to just totally gear to a different mode and almost dead stick that jig. Pitch it in there and just kind of let it lay for a few seconds, then give it a little hop and let it lay a little longer and just hope one's looking at it. Bring it out of there and put it into the next area. Just trying to cover a lot of water, but yet be very thorough about the water I'm fishing in. There it is, boys, there it is, yes! Woo! Can you believe it? We're getting rid of that little guy now. What a day to catch 5 big fish. I'm gonna need to settle down. Big boy. That's the one we've been waiting on, right there. Now you think that's a pretty good trade? I think that's a wonderful trade. That right there is close to a 3-pound fish that we're calling. And I was really happy to have him a while ago. Well, I don't know. I think we may have just won ourselves a tournament. So those guys would have to have a tremendous bag to catch me. So I really, truly feel like I've won this tournament. Wow, it's been a long time. I better see if I can get rid of one of them 4-pounders with a 5-pounder, because you just never know. Them boys are good. We're talking walking wounded. I am so cut up, bruised up. What a fun week this has been.
Whatever physical condition he's in right now, he's about to have the $100,000 ointment applied. Denny Brauer is going to be our champion here at Plattsburgh. We'll be right back.
When it's going right, it is going right.
The Citgo Bassmaster Elite Series Champion's Choice is brought to you by Citgo, Lowrance, and Berkeley.
Weigh-in time downtown Plattsburgh, right at the lakefront. Who's going to be the winner of the Champion's Choice? Well, first to the stage, the man who's led it the first 3 days, Chris Lane of Florida, but we know his story today. Tough in every way, 10 pounds and 5 ounces. He'll take the hot seat as the leader, but how long he'll stay, well, we'll just have to wait and see. Zell Rowland next to the stage, 14 pounds and 5 ounces. He won't take the hot seat. Kevin VanDam, 15 pounds, 4 ounces. Can't take over the hot seat either, but closing a lot of ground in that Angler of the Year race.
You want to take a heavy sigh or anything?
I tell you what, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you got a long way to go, dude.
Paul Hirosky, disappointing day at 9.7. Todd Faircloth, good day for him, 14.9, still not enough to take the hot seat. And then Mark Tyler, who still holds the record for the largest bass ever caught in Bassmaster competition, 16 pounds, 9 ounces. He takes over the hot seat. Tommy Biffle, last week's winner at Lake Oneida, fallen just short, 15 pounds and 11 ounces.
Well, I just dodged a couple bullets, but you know what? I'm going to get hit right in the chest here.
Now it's Terry Butcher, just been gaining momentum all week long, 16 pounds, 15 ounces, and he takes over the hot seat from Mark Tyler. Paul Elias, the 82 Classic winner, has done well in New York, did not do so well today. 10 pounds, 1 ounce. It's still Terry Butcher in the hot seat. Up next, it's Brent Chapman. The winner of the Bush Shootout last year needs 16.6 in order to take over the lead. 17 pounds, 15 ounces. Brent Chapman has the hot seat. Only one angler left to go, but he's a formidable one. His last win was 2004 on Lake Eufaula. Here comes Denny Brauer.
My goodness, you look like you needed a Land Cruiser to get up in there today, Denny. Look at the bag he's got. Not only is he staring down the barrel of a win, he's looking for the Bush Shootout. 15-7 for the lead. 21-14 for the shootout. And Denny Brauer, 23 pounds, 4 ounces. Win number 16 for Denny Brauer. Biggest bag of the week. Denny Brauer whacks him. 23 pounds and 4 ounces. A 4-day total of 80 pounds and 3 ounces. Brauer claims the top spot in the bass fishing food chain.
And I really appreciate all you folks coming out and supporting us. That does mean a lot. We hear so much about all the great fisheries around the country, but I don't know of another fishery in the country where you can come up and have the opportunity to catch brown fish or those green fish in the numbers that we catch up here. And it's probably my favorite lake as of this moment, for right now anyway, because I really liked it. It's a very, very special win, without a doubt, to come at this point in my career. Records are made to be broken, and I take a lot of pride in the all-time moneys deal, and I'm not going to go away quiet, put it that way.
Denny Brauer, the 100 grand, the big win, kicks him past the 2 million mark, kicks him past Kevin VanDam in the all-time Bass earnings list. This is going to be a great race in the years to come.
You know, Kevin's been pretty vocal about it. He has said for years, the best closer in the business is Denny Brauer. When he smells a victory, he gets a victory. Proof today.
Denny goes also into the Busch shootout with that win, this last day performance.
Top 10 heavyweights of the year will have their year-end top 10 tournament going on. Right now, Denny Brauer, 23-4, gets into 8th. 10th place right now, right at about 22 pounds. I kind of think that's safe.
Bill Spence, St. Albans, Vermont, wins himself a prize package worth about 45 grand. This guy's fished 100 tournaments on Champlain, so he has done his homework as a co-angler.
He's pretty familiar with Lake Champlain.
He knows what's going on there in our Angler of the Year race. You can't help but watch Kevin VanDam in this one. He's closing the gap on Iaconelli, who did not make the cut. Kevin was 175 points behind Iaconelli coming in. Now he's 54 points behind. This one's going to come down to it.
Talking about people that are losing their lead and stuff, why don't we do that? Fantasy fishing right now. Bassmaster.com. We pick our favorite guys before the tournament. Well, you know what, Tommy? The Gary Busey of fantasy fishing, Jerry McKinnis, has picked the winner this last tournament, picked Denny Brauer, made a surge. He was down. But the question is, T. Fonda, can you hold your lead?
That is a great question.
Yes,
it's all going to depend. It's going to hinge on what happens next week. The Bassmaster Memorial. $250,000 to the winner there on Lake Wiley. Who are you picking? Who's on your team?
I'm going to go with the dark horse right now, Jason Quinn.
I'm sticking with Kevin VanDam. You like that?
Love it.
All right, love that play. We'll have same-day coverage for you next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, full coverage the following Saturday. The Bassmaster American from Lake Wiley in North Carolina. We will see you there.
Get in here. Yeah.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to Bassmaster.com.
Yeah, there we go.
That's the one, boys.
23 pounds, 4 ounces.
There it is, boys. There it is. Yes.
Win number 16 for Denny Brauer. Woo!